Step into the spotlight.
Hey guys, Underground Geek here. Have you ever read something and you totally read it the wrong way? Like you read a word and it was actually a different word, but you totally just, thought it was something different and just assumed that that was the way it was spelled. That they do tricks like that on Facebook and Twitter sometimes, where they'll move words around, but you'll read them a certain way because your brain interprets it, and that's kind of cool. So when I read this comic book, I totally read it as imaginary friends. And then I read the entire book and I was like, oh, this is cool. This is cool. And I was telling a friend about it. I was like, yeah, read Imaginary Friends. And they said, it's actually Imaginary Fiends, but that's okay because I did the same thing. And I was like, oh, I feel so dumb right now. But this is actually like a cross book. It's by DC and Vertigo. I'm thinking it's because someone was telling me that Seeley, the writer, is like exclusive DC right now, so he's able to do this book like through both of them pretty much. The cover is pretty cool. It's kind of what caught my attention. It's very manga style. It's very new and original. I like it. I don't know if they've ever wrote a book like this before, and this is just a rewrite. But I read it and I was just instantly hooked. Instantly hooked at this book. Let me see if I can get the title page here and tell you a little bit about it. So it's by Tim Seeley. The artist is Stephen Molnar. The colorist is Quentin Winter. And it's just, it's really good. I like it. So let's go back to the premise of it and talk a little bit more about it besides just saying I like it, I like it. Now, this is for mature readers, and it definitely is. So, you don't let your kids read this book. And there are a couple points where I'm like, I don't really think that would happen. So we start out, and it's a very neat story. I'll just read some of this. It says, it was a late summer evening in Canyon City, Minnesota. The charge in the air transitioned from the energy of freedom to the anxiety of a new school year's arrival. Cameron Kell was 14 years old himself, caught in a transition, this one from child to adult. So this person is at that point to where they could become an adult. Their life could change. They go from thinking like a child to thinking like an adult. That's very important. So basically they're talking, the little kid, one of the kids has some pot, they start smoking it, it's kind of like really pot, but, I can understand that, the kids are always, rebelling, acting out. But then he hears his name. They're making fun of this kid, by the way. He's the youngest of the group, and there's two girls and two guys. He's the fifth wheel, but the one guy is trying to hang out with him, So he's feeling awkward. They're making fun of him, but then he hears his name, Cameron, and he looks, and in the woods out walks this girl, and he knows who it is. He says, Brink, and he knows by her. It says that he knows by her body language that something is really, really wrong. So he goes over there to see her, it says the touch of Brink's warm, wet hand brought him out of his imagination and back to the reality, though. He was thinking, oh, I'm going to help her. She's going to like me, all this kind of stuff. And then he realized, we turned to the next page and realized that was blood on her hand. He now has blood over his face, and she's dead. She's been stabbed to death by a fillet knife, and she's only able to say two words, Polly Peach Pit. And so that's where we start. Imaginary Fiends, not Friends. The Cat's Paw, Part 1. And we have that little spider with a spider web in the corner of the screen there. It's the corner of the page, if you're reading it physically. So that, that's very important as well. So then we go to 6 years later. And I'm kind of conflicted about this because the way they draw this person, it's supposed to be 6 years later. But anyway, so it's her birthday, and these girls are harassing her and making fun. Wait a second. Girls don't do this to each other. When girls meet each other, they're instantly best friends, and they love each other until they start dating, and then they marry and live happily ever after. What's going on here? These women are accosting this lady or this girl and making her take a bath because they say that she stinks. This isn't right. Anyway, enough of my ranting. So she comes out of there, and one of the nurses is waiting for her. Apparently, this is a crazy house. It says Eastern Minnesota Juvenile Detention Center, but really it's like a crazy house. Uh, so this lady's waiting for her. She has a cake that says Melba's name on it. That's the girl. And she says, what's wrong with you? She says, oh, I slipped in the shower. And she said, well, I'm going to let security know that you slipped in the shower again. And by the way, this probably wouldn't happen if you would take voluntary showers. And I was kind of like, she's being accosted. Can you not stop these people from harassing her? And so anyway, we get to see that Melba is actually very good at coloring. She's coloring the little girl there with the portrait and the spider there. And so anyway, Miss Muffet there, yeah, she's sitting on her tuffet. So then she gives her the cake. Melba's very, very happy about this. She hugs on to the nurse, and the nurse actually lets her sit there a little bit too long, and then she's like, oh, okay, yeah, time to change your clothes. You've got a visitor, blah, blah, blah. You can tell that Melba just really wants some attention. I mean, she's already got a terrible name, so she's got 2 strikes against her right there. She's crazy, and she's got a terrible name. So anyway, she walks in there, and she's surprised about who it is. And I can't remember which actor this looks like, but this looks like an actor from a TV show. I just can't remember who this kind of looks like, but I think that's who they kind of modeled him after. But he says, Miss Lee, have a seat. And he goes, who? She says, who? I thought this was my grandpa. And he says, look at this device. I want you to watch this video. And she goes, what video? And he goes, well, this video was actually on, been on various different things. It's even been on America's Funniest TV shows. Of course, they call it America's Funniest Shows for copyright reasons. So she starts watching it, and he says, I need you to watch the video and tell me what you see at the 15th second mark. Immediately after she drops a popsicle and then picks it back up, behind the boy on the swing. And she says, well, I don't really want to. And he goes, I don't believe you are suicidal. I don't believe you're schizophrenic or have oppositional defiant disorder. I don't believe you're crazy or evil. Not even your only friend, Alice Preto, believes that. Tell me what you see. And he gets duct tape. I don't really know what the duct tape's for. But anyway, she sees it. She watches the video, and then she says, whoa, there's a sea monster that has appeared here. He's wearing a cowboy hat, and he's on a tricycle. He goes, why, yes, we call him Marshall Locke. His real name is Gerald Flappy Fins. To most people, it's just another video with a youngster gleefully eating dirt. They don't see the Marshal. I don't see him either. And I take great pride in seeing everything. And I was like, oh, that's pretty funny. And he says, my name is Special Agent Virgil Crockett, Federal Bureau of Investigation, IMP Division. And she says, IMP? And he says, yes, Miss Lee, I need you to know that I'm about to tell you this is not a dream or a drug-induced hallucination. You are not mishearing me. This is the part of our meeting where things get strange. So basically he tells her that there is actually interdimensional mental parasites that have come across here, and they latch themselves onto children because they're very pliable, and they feed off their love, loyalty, and their imagination. And I was like, whoa, this is really cool. I feel like I've heard this before, but it's very cool, actually. But anyway, I like the little the little Flappy Fins guy. I see him on there, and I was like, God, I hope we don't eat that kid. But anyway, so he says that we recently lost our agent that deals with imps, and we need someone else. And he says, I want you to work for us. We've been watching your case. We believe you were an advanced host, Miss Lee. The Marshall test confirms it. For many hosts, occupation opens their eyes to other infections. So she was supposed to stop seeing these things, but due to her trauma, she does still see them. And she says, I don't really want any part of this. He says, help us discreetly find dangerous imps, and in return, we'll get you out of the hospital. We'll make sure you don't transfer to an adult prison. And she's not really wanting to have any part of it. He says, well, you'll be teamed with me. You won't be alone. You'll be teamed with me and Polly Peach Pit. She says, no, 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 not her. Sometimes these investigations get physical, and the only thing that can punch an imp is another imp. We need her or there's no deal. I was like, So he said, so basically he says, think about it, let me know. And so that night she's sitting there and she's coloring her picture like normal. And she says, Polly, Mr. Choke's Cherry's wife. And then she has this flashback of when she was a kid. And there's the little blonde girl from the beginning of the comic. She's sitting there with her and she goes, she wraps you in her long legs, kisses you with a knife. She eats all your candy. She takes all your dolls. And I was like, what in the world is happening right now? What's wrong with these kids? And then they start talking about what has happened to them. And I don't really understand it. It says, Polly, I'm rotten to the core. I looked at naked people's website and I thought they looked nice. I felt something. It might have been love. And I don't really, this was kind of awkward because little girls don't talk like this. They're probably like 8 or 9. And I was talking with someone else and they agreed. They said, I really think that they should have changed this and said, I looked at this website and I felt something. I felt weird. They should just put that because the kid wouldn't know what that is. And then the other kid says, Polly, I'm rotten to the core. I've been thinking about a boy, and now he's sort of weird and dumb, but I want to be next to him, maybe touch him. That's a little awkward, too. You should just start with, I want to be next to him. I want to be with him, around him, something like that. And so she says, we have to give her something. We have to give her something. She feeds off of love. Says, I know I'm supposed to think of Polly. I just can't get it out of my head, how we're going to junior high next week, how it won't just be the dumb hit kids from Canyon City, the dumb hit kids like me. There'll be other kids there from Faribault and Owatonna, probably rich kids, pretty cool kids. So she says, it's just I don't have anyone at home, nowhere here, no really even on the internet at big school. At the big school, will things change? Will you still want to hang out with me? And she goes, Brink, we waited too long to give her something. We loved something other than her. You feared something other than her. And see, that was the whole thing. I think they kind of shared this imaginary friend. And so the friend tells Melba to do something. She says, do I have to, Polly? Please. And then she picks up the knife. And so then we cut back to Melba now, and she's coloring, but she's starting to scribble over the little drawings. And she says, each world has its own complex rules, unexplainable to anyone else, like a game imprisoned by children. Those drawings had made her small, quiet world seem larger, bigger than the town that had regarded her as an outsider. She had stopped drawing 6 years ago, instead only providing proper colors, blue skies, orange pumpkins, always within the lines. And then we hear a voice, Melba, Melba, my little treat. And she says, Polly. And then we get this awesome scene here, and there is Polly Peach Pit. She says, I've been gone so long, confined to my wet, dark cavern, away from your warmth. The hoar frost now covers my webs. My spinnerets are throbbing in full. And you, my girlie, you look abandoned like a broken toy. Have you missed her, Polly? Come, let's have a tea party like the old days when we first met. And she says, not so fast. And then I love this, how she hisses at the girl. She says, what's this? You threaten me, salty morsel? I'll bring you down where the rain always falls. I'll share your skin with the crickets. I'll drink your guts. And she says, no, you won't. And she basically says, you need me. I'll kill myself if you ever threaten me again like that. And she says, and then you'll fade away to nothing. She says, the FBI is offering me a chance, a way to prove that I don't belong here. If you want to get out of your cave, you'll work with me. And if you ever threaten me or try to make me hurt someone else, there won't be anyone left to believe in you. And that's when they see each other, they look into each other's eyes. And then Polly totally switches personalities. She goes from a dangerous creature to a scared animal. And she says, no more knife kisses, no more. I'll do anything, Melba, anything for my treat. Please, I'm so hungry. Just touch me like a fuzzy bear. Hold me like a beloved sister. Whisper to me like a trusted friend. And she changes forms into almost like a little girl like her, except for strange. And she says, fear me more than death. And so then we cut to the FBI agent talking to the local agents. And there's one line here where, the FBI agent shows up and the cop says, shouldn't you be hounding the president? And I was like, oh, yeah. But that's the only thing I really saw that, kind of conflicted me a little bit, but it was kind of organic. So I let it slide. I was just, how many times we have to hear about this kind of stuff. But it says, I'm here to see the situation. Tell me what's going on. And then we see Melba walk out of the woods, and at first I didn't recognize her because her hair was so different, But it says, I came as soon as I could. I got a ride, but I had to walk from the main thing. And he says, you got everything? Yeah, I mean everything. And she says, mm-hmm. Of course, he's talking about Polly. And they said, well, who are you, little girl? And she says, Agent Lee. And then the little friend is sitting on her shoulder, says Polly Peach Pit, as if they could see her, playing a game. And I don't know about you guys, but so far I really like the story. So then we cut to Charlie Chokecherry. And he says, yada yada, some poem, blah, blah, blah. And he wipes the blood on his face like before. And you can see that this is Cameron from before. And he now has his imaginary friend, which is a crazy, creepy creature. And he says, I can't understand when you speak that fourth dimensional stuff. And so the creature changes and says, I hate talking like you humans. It's so primitive. And it smashes through the glass and says, a reminder, Cameron Cale, our alliance is as unpleasant for you as it is for me. This is not a friendship or a love. This is a necessity for revenge, convenience for revenge. So this thing is obviously out to get some people, and this is where it kind of ends, and the next issue is called Frady Cat. And I got to tell you, I really do like this comic. Every time I look at it and read it a little bit more, I like it because it's so new, it's so original, but at the same time, it's done well enough, and the art is done well enough that I like it. See, there's so many independent comics out there that the art is just not good, or if the art is good, the story's not good. And so this is more of a mainstream comic, but it's done very well and very original. And like I said, I don't know if this is a redo of an old comic. It may be. I didn't check on it. But I do really like it. It reminds me very much, it's very X-Files-y. It's very Foster's Home of Imaginary Friends gone wrong. It's got that odd feeling. And I really like all the creature designs because I love creatures. I love imaginary things. Anything can happen from it. Another world that is outside the normal realm, and it's very fun for me. So this was a very good comic. I liked it. I'm interested to see what else is going to happen. There were a couple cringy moments where the dialogue doesn't really meet the character, like I said, with the little girls, and then some other things. But other than that, it was very good little comic. I like all the characters. I like Polly Peach Pit. It's very fun. I can't wait to see the other imaginary friends, because they're actually very dangerous creatures, and it'd be fun to see them fighting later on and all the things that's going to happen. I'm very interested to see what happens with Melba and how she interacts with the other imaginary friends. It's going to be very fun, So let me know what you think about this comic. Let me know what you think about my review. Let me know what you think about my channel. Hit the like button. Hit the subscribe button. If you want to, you can donate to my Patreon. Also, I have an apparel website with Teespring where you can buy t-shirts and stuff because sometimes people like to have something instead of just giving money. But all right, guys, thank you very much. Talk to you later. Underground Geek out.